These are the 30 comprehensive social tips and tricks for how to successfully approach people and get to know them. This is a video request made by my friend Edie Huo of Toronto. I decided to make a video condensing all of the things that I noticed the most charismatic, the most socially gifted contestants, pageant winners, leaders, communicators do. All right, let's get started. Number one, avoid looking at the floor or elsewhere. When you're talking to a person, make eye contact with them. If you don't want to look directly into their eyes, you can look between their eyebrows or their forehead. Maintain meaningful eye contact to establish presence. Shifty eyes can convey a sense of uneasiness, disinterest, and it might make the person feel like they're boring you. Initiate conversations. Be the first person to compliment someone or to start talking. Bear in mind, though, that initiating conversations is very cultural. Americans love to initiate conversations. Globally, Americans are known to be very friendly. But to share a little story, I once complimented a woman in China on her shoes, and she looked at me like I had four heads. But that's because culturally, you just don't do that to strangers in China. So if someone doesn't respond well to you initiating conversation, that's their issue, not yours. Practice initiating conversations. Compliments are well received. People love being complimented. I would say the effect of compliments might be more reduced on women rather than men because women get compliments more. But that just means that if you compliment men, they will love it. But it does have to be meaningful. It has to come from a genuine, authentic place. Don't be too generous with too many compliments because if you compliment too much, the value of each one starts to go down and people might suspect that you're not being very genuine. If you struggle with confidence while you're talking, record yourself having a conversation with yourself. That daily practice will make you more confident so that when you are actually in front of a living, breathing human being, you're more likely to feel comfortable holding your own. So just hold up your recorder, record yourself talking to yourself. Just practice. Talk, talk, talk. Smiles and laughter are super contagious. Same with enthusiasm. So don't be stingy with smiles and positivity. Conversations take place entirely in the moment, okay? You want to focus all of your attention on what's being discussed and on the person you're having the conversation with. If you are fidgeting, that could be a distraction too. Try to focus all of your attention on what's happening in the moment. And if you are noticing that your brain and your mind starts to wander, try to bring your attention back to the present. Be a good listener, ask a question to re-engage and reestablish that presence if need be, but the key is to be in the moment. Don't think future, don't think past, be right there with that person as words are coming out of your mouth and as words are coming out of their mouth. Whether people consciously notice it or not, anxiety can be very noticeable and infectious. It can really affect the other person you're talking to and they'll become anxious with you if you start to let that anxiety creep in. Just take a deep breath and calm yourself. Chest out, shoulders back. Good posture equates to confidence. So take up space. Hold yourself like a king or queen. People like beautiful people, and there's only so much you can do to your face, but you can eat healthy, you can take care of yourself, you can get a good haircut, you can dress well. The more you invest into your looks, the more it will help your own confidence because you know that other people are going to look favorably onto someone who looks good. Maximize your looks that way. People respond to energy. If you increase the level of engagement and how interested you seem, people tend to respond favorably because you are perceived as more personable. People love hearing the sound of their own name. So say their names frequently, and if you have nicknames, it can be very effective to endear yourself to them, as long as they are on board with said nickname. Gotta make sure to check first. Offer to help other people with favors, and don't be afraid to ask for small favors in return, especially if they're reasonable. People like to feel useful. A tactic I like to use is ask people to take a photo of me and another person, and then afterwards, if it's a great photo, I will really compliment that person on their photography skills. It's a really easy way to start a conversation, and it starts off by making that person feel good because they did a good job and they helped you. To establish friendliness, you want to sit closer to someone. I like to sit either beside them, not too close so it's creepy, but I want to reduce the distance between us so that there's a little bit more of a connection, it feels more intimate. I like to sit either beside them or 90 degrees. I try to avoid sitting opposite because this can be a you versus me kind of feeling. They do that in interviews. In court, it's like that, right? The defendant versus the judge. So if you sit 90 degrees or next to them, it creates this feeling of us. Stop speaking from the back of your throat and instead start speaking from your chest. When you speak, make sure to take a deep breath and speak from your diaphragm. The best speakers all have a lot of air when they're having a conversation, so don't be afraid to really take a deep breath and speak and project. You obviously don't want to be yelling at someone, especially if they're really close to you. You don't want to overpower them with too loud a voice. If you are more on the demure or shy side, your voice can kind of sound like this. But no, take a deep breath and speak from your chest. Speak from your diaphragm. Body follows mind, and your mind follows your body. So to have confidence in the way you speak, you need to think confidently and you need to hold your body with confident body language. Something that might help you is to physically pump yourself up, do some power poses, do something that gets you feeling good about your body and how you feel in your body in that moment, and that will help you deliver a better conversation. I remember before all of my judges interviews, I would actually do like some movements, because I had a lot of nervous energy and I wanted to kind of get that out. But the physical act of taking space made me feel expansive and more confident. So that might work for you even before your judges interview or any important job interview too. To be charismatic, you need to be in a charismatic mood. A bad mood will ruin your social interactions, so learn to control your emotions. Make people feel unique and special. People love hearing about what makes them different in good ways. So if you notice something about someone that does make them different and is deserving of a compliment, share it. It can really make that person's day. And it could make yours too, because it feels good to make other people feel good. It's a positive feedback loop. A person's favorite topic is themselves. Facts. Ask people about themselves, get them talking, and before you know it, a conversation will be flowing. Make people associate your presence with good things, positive things. Some easy tactics are by giving gifts, smelling good, but the most effective is by leaving someone feeling good about themselves and feeling better than they did before they interacted with you. On the flip side, any anxiety or awkwardness could lead people to associate negative feelings around you. So you really want to be on the opposite side of that coin and help people feel good about themselves after talking to you. And sometimes a lot of that just comes down to positivity, being a good listener, and being whatever they need you to be in that moment based on how they're feeling. Ironically, the way to make it about you is by not making it about you. You make it about them, and over time, it becomes about you because that person starts to associate good feelings with you. Oh, Crystal was there for me when I needed her. Oh, Crystal just, was a breath of fresh air. She was such a good listener. Oh, Crystal, I can always rely on her to make me feel heard, to make me feel comforted. So all of those things really just boil down to leaving the person you're talking to feeling better than before you talk to them. Seek people out and initiate conversations. People like being approached. It's flattering. Mimic someone's body language. It creates more of a feeling of closeness and us, and it also can result in that person mimicking yours as well. So if your body language becomes more confident, that can help that person increase their confidence as well. Adopt certain phrases, sayings, metaphors, pop culture references according to who you're talking to. Know your audience. If you're talking to a 9-year-old kid who loves to play computer games, talk about Fortnite, Minecraft, and who their favorite YouTuber is. If you're talking to someone that's in your grandparents' generation, ask them about their families. Ask them about what they did for a living. Engage different groups of people depending on what they can relate to. This is the key to being a good conversationalist. It's finding common ground, and it's knowing your audience and knowing what this person can respond to. Because the moment you find a topic that you both can chat about, that is the bridge of understanding, and that is where this person will start to develop an impression of you as favorable. Oh, I can connect with this person because of X reason. And suddenly barriers are dropped, guards come down, and before you know it, that person thinks you're super charismatic and sociable. It happens all the time. First impressions are incredibly important. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression. Establish yourself as reliable and be the first to rise to a challenge. When a waiter asks for your order, be the first to speak. A healthy amount of mystery can help keep people interested in you. So when you're having a conversation, don't be the person to volunteer too much or be talking nonstop for 5-10 minutes. Whoever dominates a conversation like that oftentimes doesn't have a ton of EQ, which is sort of emotional intelligence. IQ is intelligence quotient. EQ is emotional quotient. The highest EQ people I know tend to be the listeners. They're the ones who know how to ask good questions and let people around them talk, to hold space for people to share ideas openly. So you want to still facilitate an exchange, but keep some mystery so that you're not necessarily like steamrolling everyone else by telling everyone your information. You want to give a little bit of information, see who else reacts to it, give some information, don't be cagey with it, but also facilitate an exchange. You want this to be a two-way, three-way, four-way street if you're talking to 2, 3, 4 people. Offer comfort first, not advice, unless you're asked for advice. Recognize any harmful thought processes and quell them quickly. When you're having a conversation and you're noticing that the conversation is taking a turn for the worst, just take a deep breath, don't freak out, okay? And focus on the conversation at hand. Focus on what's happening in the moment and ask a question to turn it back around. Change the subject if need be, but don't go down into this downward negative spiral of, oh, this person is judging me, I don't know what I'm gonna say, the anxiety is starting to creep up, this person is gonna think I'm weird. Quell all of those harmful thought processes because they basically sabotage your ability to stay in the present, which is necessary to maintaining a good conversation. Good social skills are boosted by a genuine love for and interest in other people. So if you can cultivate your curiosity about someone else, that will really help sustain your conversation because that person can sense, hey, this person really seems interested, and the quality of the conversation that ensues will be much higher. A lot of our social skills have to do with our internal states and the voices that we hear in our heads 24/7. You want to make sure those voices are saying nice things, kind things, especially to yourself. A lot of negative self-talk will slowly slip its way into the way you treat other people and the way you project your energy. Approaching people and getting to know them, making friends, these are all valuable life skills, but there's no formal training. There's no school for where to learn this. Now, the most confident and charismatic people I know, they've been doing a lot of what I covered in this video instinctively. It's come naturally to them since they were young. I mean, the most popular kids in high school, whether it's the queen bee or the star quarterback, the most likable folks that I grew up with, they're not reading Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. They just figured out a positive feedback loop early on, which is they treat people a certain way, they conduct themselves in a certain manner, that gives them good results, and then that perpetuates that behavior, which then instills a habit for how to engage and communicate with others. The good news is that this habit can be built by you anytime. It can be improved upon anytime. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you're doing with your life. If you're interested in becoming a better socializer and a more charismatic person, just implement what I shared with you in this video and you'll get there. Thank you for spending your time with me. If this video was helpful, please give it a like. I would also like to invite you to take a look at some of my other videos right here. Also subscribe right up here. Bye.